promised you that I would not keep you long tonight, and I won't. I'm not going to speak long. I think enough has been said. This is, as you can imagine, easily the most humbling and overwhelming night of my life. It's incredible. I want to thank you all for coming. And it was important to me from a political perspective to have men who have skins on the wall, if you will, in terms of being conservative, to lend me their endorsement. Congressman Hall, State Senator Buell, Representatives Flynn, Kane. We actually have 3 men up here who have been the Republican county chair. David, Irwin has, and now Donnie. And for them to endorse me means so much, particularly since my opponent has 9 months into this, since his announcement, decided to portray himself as bringing East Texas conservative values to the courthouse. Well, considering these endorsements, I think we know who the true conservative is in this campaign, and I am unapologetically conservative. I have been Republican since 1982 when I turned 18. The issues of sanctity of life have always been near and dear to me, and that's what drove me since 1982. I was Republican when Republican wasn't cool. There's no question. But on the one hand, these endorsements mean so much to me. I can't wait to visit with my parents and tell them about it. But the endorsements, as honoring as those are, the endorsements that mean the most to me are you sitting here tonight. Candidates like Ted Cruz have proven that established Republican power isn't always the way to go, but rather grassroots. And as Donnie said, for just about 12 months now, we have been working tirelessly. When I say to people, this is when I always lose you. And Will told me not to do this. He said, don't pull John Boehner. Get up there and start crying. I cannot thank my wife enough. This is our campaign. She has worked at least as hard as I have, if not harder. And this is happening tonight because of my wife's hard work. And I'd like us to boys are in San Angelo in Colorado, and it's just killing them that they can't be here to help me. And I have no idea how I'm ever going to pay my sister-in-law. It will be huge. We have had 36 years, 20 years with Judge Lanny Ramsey, and the last 16 years with Robert Newsom, of incredible, godly, men full of integrity, who have presided over the 8th District Court. And for those of you who may not know a lot about it, don't keep up with the various courts. We have a lot of courts in this county. We have 2 justices of the peace that hear small claims. We have a county judge that administers, is the chief executive officer, if you will, of the county, and hears probate and mental health cases. We have a county court of law judge that hears a lot of divorces and misdemeanor documents. And we have 2 district judges, the 62nd and the 8th. Now, in the 8th District Court, there are 4 counties, Hopkins, Franklin, Delta, and Rains County. And 3 of those counties, the 8th shares it with the 62nd. Last 12 years, I believe, has been Judge McDowell. He's not running for re-election. Prior to that, you'll remember it was Judge Thompson. In Rains County, the 8th District Court shares Rains County with the 354th. That's a judge currently out of Hunt County by the name of Rick Beaton. He just won re-election in a contested primary. Through a gentleman's agreement, those courts have concurrent jurisdiction, meaning they can hear the same kinds of cases, all felony cases, most civil cases, family law cases. But through a gentleman's agreement, beginning way back, about 36 years ago with Judge Ramsey, the 8th District Court has heard all of the felony cases and some of the civil cases. whereas the 62nd District and the 354th and Range appears the lion's share of the city. I am qualified to do both. The first 3 years of my practice was primarily civil, working for the firm then known as McElroy, Litzler, Rutherford, Bauer, and Friday, the mega firm in this area. And then I went out on my own, and for the last 9 years, my practice has been primarily in the 8th District Court. I know the staff of the courthouse personnel in all 4 counties, and I think that I bring a unique perspective in that regard. I've talked with the 2 judges that will take the bench from the 354th and the 62nd, and they prefer to keep the arrangement the same that it has been for the last 36 years. It works well. It has worked well. I certainly am open to anything, but I would prefer to keep that as well. I realize what huge shoes I would be stepping into. Follow Will's father, Lanny Ramsey, and Robert Newsom. I'll tell this interesting story. It's one of the things I sought God's direction in my life. I asked Judge Newsom, I was in the Gideons teaching 5th grade out of Miller Road, thinking about going to law school, though that had never been on my radar. And I asked him to stick around because I knew that he too had gone to law school later in life. And I wanted to know how that would work with his family. I knew we had similar situations. He had 2 sons, we had 2 sons. And so I asked him, I said, well, how old were you when you went to law school? And he said 33. I said, well, I'll be 33. I was afraid I'd graduate from East Texas State. I thought maybe that wasn't good enough for college to go to law school. So I said, where did you go to law school? He said, East Texas State. I said, I went to East Texas State. Your wife's a nurse? My wife's a nurse. Well, how old were your sons, though? How old were your sons when you went to law school? They were in 7th and 3rd grade. I said, mine would be in 7th and 3rd grade. His initials are R-E-N. My initials are R-E-N. There's got to be something to that. He's been a mentor to me. He is, and he is a good man. And I would be honored to follow in his footsteps. I have some other notes here. The night has been long. I want to thank you all for coming. I hope I can visit with all of you. Thank you to Macy and Joyce who are manning the womaning, I suppose, the volunteer table over there. We've got all kinds of things. When we talk about block walking, we're simply talking about a few hours perhaps on Saturday morning, getting together with some brochures with a specific neighborhood and going and just placing some brochures on the door. But what you can do more than anything is just talk up the campaign. I'm not sure where this came from, but I had a lawyer friend once said that for every 1 person you get, he'll bring 10 people on board. I'm not sure how you prove that, but that would be neat if that's the case. This election, there's no question, will be outspent. We did that going. But we will not keep hurting, and we have not, and we will not be outworked. And I am confident that we will carry Delta County, we will carry Franklin County, we will carry Range County, and we will carry Hopkins County by a big margin. Thank you very much. God bless you.